Tēnā koutou katoa. My speech is a Dynamic Leadership Pathways speech of the Toastmasters International. The speech goal is to prepare and present a speech while speaking professionally. It is level 5 speech, and its goal to write and present 18 to 22 minute keynote style speech. The title of my speech is A Life Full of Miracles. Kia ora tātou, ko Taranaki te maunga, ko moana te awa, no New Plymouth, ahau, ko Williams toku whanau, ko Orina toku ingoa. My speech is about my experience of exhibition held in a local museum and library, Puke Ariki. It was in September-October 2018, and it was an amazing experience. I'm extremely honored and humbled to be part of it. And the title of the exhibition was Hina, Celebrating Taranaki Women. It featured the stories of 11 Taranaki women from the history of early settlers to the modern time. Why Hina? Hina is the name of a supreme female element, an atua, which means primary ancestor that controls the moon. Across indigenous cultures, moon represents knowledge and human enlightenment. And Hina, commonly known in Maori as Hineti Iwa Iwa, is the patroness of women and all their labors, which, as we know, are many. She's a celestial being responsible for childbirth, tidal occurrences, weaving, and cycles of the moon, of course. We find the sister deities and goddesses in many cultures, religious beliefs, and philosophical beliefs as well. This exhibition was developed as the commemoration of 125th anniversary of New Zealand women suffrage. On the 19th of September 1893, New Zealand became the first country in the world in which all women had the right to vote in parliamentary elections. Woohoo! New Zealand was the first again and ahead of its time. A historian and award-winning author of a history of New Zealand women, Barbara Brookes, and the 4 Puke Ariki heritage curators behind Hina explored the history of New Zealand women through the objects and artifacts and artworks from extensive museum collection. The presentation will encourage seeing New Zealand's history through the female lens, how it was seen by mothers, grandmothers, daughters, aunties, sisters. Hina opened in the Lane Gallery on 7th of September 2018. I was very excited to be part of it. As well as the historical stories of women, there are a number of donated artifacts on display, including a surfboard from the Hareb Paige, famous surfer, and a keta from Puke Ariki Taonga Maori collection that was conserved by Rose Evans, one of the exhibition respondents. I was offered to respond to a teapot from Puke Ariki collection. Yes, a teapot. The teapot that belonged to early New Zealand immigrant Tabitha Inch. Tabitha Inch was born on 5th of March 1893 in St. Mabon, Cornwall, England. Her maiden name was Edward. She was daughter of Henry Edward and Grace Edward. She traveled to New Zealand with her husband Paul Inch on board of the vessel called William Bryan. They arrived to New Plymouth on the 31st of March 1841. The article in the newspaper, which was printed 100 years later, said, "No one can describe the desolate feeling on women portion of pioneer party after leaving the ship." And this was a very good description. There was no shelter in Motoroa Beach. They spent the first night in a freshly erected tent, huddled together. It probably was very cold, and the ship left. They couldn't return back, even if they wanted to. After that, there are probably many more nights of despair, tears, and perhaps asking yourself a question: why did we agree to come here? Obviously, it was a plan of an empire. The plan to settle new people there, to acquire new lands, to get new resources. Empire didn't care about the settlers nor the people to which land they were settling to. Colonization is a painful part of New Zealand history. Now, after many generations, we still try to heal from it. And the process is far from the finish line. And the cumulative damage is mutual. It affected those who were suppressed and the suppressors. But those women who came to Aotearoa with the hope of new life, they couldn't go back. Charter flights didn't exist then, and if they did, Inch's family wouldn't be able to afford it. Sooner or later, Tabitha and Paul settled in, and all immigrants go through the same experience: hope, excitement, adoration, disappointment, struggle, adjustment, and finally settling. And nevertheless, everyone's journey is different. In 2000, the UNESCO General Assembly proclaimed the 18th of December International Migrants' Day. They mentioned the increased number of migrants in the world. The Assembly adopted International Convention of the Rights of all Migrant Workers and their families. There are many international charities that help migrants, including illegal ones, including asylum seekers, refugees, victims of human trafficking. There is an ugly thing going on undercover of our shiny 21st century, hidden world of human slavery. Not as obvious as during ancient history and not as blatant as in 19th century. Globalization and stratification of the world added to the increased amount of migrants in the world. No wonder that most of the migrants live in developed countries. According to World Health Organization, there is an estimated amount of 1 billion migrants in the world today, of whom 258 million are international migrants and 763 millions are internal migrants. And can you imagine, it's every seventh person in the world, 1/7 in the world population. 68 million of these international and internal migrants are forcibly moved from where they were born. This is an abstract from the brief of the international event, which is called Women on the Move: Migration, Gender Equality and the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development. Although women migrate as much as men, migration data must be disaggregated by sex and age, and migration policies must be taken into account of how gender shapes different migrants' needs. Migration can increase women's access to education and economic resources and can improve their autonomy and status, motivation among many others to leave their own country and seek for a place with a new future. Female migrants and refugees are at greater risk of exploitation and abuse, including human trafficking. Highly skilled women have high rates of migration, but many are employed in low-skilled jobs. Unskilled female migrants work in less regulated and less visible sectors than male migrants. If you think they are all foreign and misunderstood, all migrants feel displaced and destitute at the beginning. Survival instinct must kick in to at least assure that their offsprings leave. When I look at the only photo of Tabitha Inch, which was made by Swainson Studios, I cannot stop admiring. Obviously, she was preparing for a photo shoot. Her hair was nicely combed and parted in the middle. She had a freshly starched headpiece, which was white. Her weekend dress was a bit tight. It hadn't been easy to keep the maiden waistline after 5 kids. Yes, she had 5 kids. It made me think about my own journey. I was about 30 upon arriving to New Zealand. No children. I worked in a very engaging industry of communication technologies, specializing in marketing. I was disappointed with corporate culture over the years, global empire of money, which I thought was soulless, does this to humans. I wanted to settle in New Zealand in my new role of homemaker and house goddess. I discovered my fascination with cooking, and I tried to honor my own ancestors by cooking the food from the countries I could relate to, which is Russia, Ukraine, and Korea. I started cooking classes, and my specialty was and is ethnic cuisines. This was healing. Food is a great media for healing and for solving conflicts on global and on personal level, and New Zealand Kai is ever so inspiring. The symbol of Tabitha's story is a mere teapot. It is made of a clay, it's dark, heavily used utility item. But with a sense of belonging to a good society, because 5 o'clock tea was a rarity. It is a luxury that Tabitha and her family could afford, and it was important. I have my special teapot too. It almost looks like an alien comparing to its older counterpart of Tabitha Inch. It is made of fine Chinese porcelain. It has beautiful, very, very fine decorations of the Chinese storks and chrysanthemums that are representation and wish of a longevity and good health. And it was given to me by my German colleague when we worked for a Ukrainian company after the collapse of Soviet Union. Globalization. It makes utility items fancier, but immigration journeys didn't become fancier at all. I'm still like Tabitha. Brew some tea from time to time, invite friends, we chat, we gossip, share our life stories, recipes, and we reflect on our lives. Tabitha's story had a really good ending. She lived till old age. Some documents say that till the age of 96. Some say that till the age of 102. And at a certain point, her family was wealthy enough to pay for a group photograph by Swenson Photography. And nowadays we can take photographs every day, almost every minute, if you have enough storage on your cell phone. My fascination with humans made me to explore people's stories through selfies. And some people call me a selfie queen of Taranaki. I take it with humor and appreciation. To be honest, I like it. Not that I believe that I'm of royal blood or I'm the only one who does it. No, not at all. I just love observing people. I like to look at their images captured at a particular time, at a particular space. I would like to learn about their journeys through photographs. The same as I learned about Tabitha Inch's journey from her 19th century photo. Every day I discover that everyone's life has been full of miracles, not only mine and Tabitha's. And aren't we the living proof of the fact that miracles happen? Ourselves or our ancestors came to this God-blessed country, and we have an opportunity to heal our past and all the bad things that happened in the history. We have an access to clean water and good quality food. We have the right to vote and make difference in the society. We have an opportunity to have education and influence the processes that are going on in the community. We have the right and the obligation to help those who are less privileged than us. And it's an amazing feeling of living in a place which can make a difference and is ahead of its time. Ngā mihi nui ka e koe, aroha mai, haerera.